Hello, everyone. Jarrett Hoffman here with HBCU Sports, here to give you my official recap of the 2024 CIAA Tournament that saw the Fayetteville State women defeat Elizabeth City State in the women's tournament, and the Lincoln men win their first ever CIAA Tournament championship by defeating Fayetteville State. We're going to start off in the women's game. Fayetteville State, in a hard-fought win, won 64-59 against Elizabeth City State. Keena McLaughlin was named the game's MVP in that one. She scored 17 points on 7 of 10 shooting from the field in that one, and she was named the game's MVP. Like I said, Anala Bryant, who was named the tournament MVP, had a rough shooting night. She was 3 of 16, but had 12 points, 5 rebounds, and got a key steal down the stretch that led to a foul, and she knocked down some key free throws to ice that game. And you had Talia Trotter, who also had 12 points, Nia Wilkins, who came off the bench and had 12 points and 9 rebounds. So it was a lot of incredible action in that one. A lot of players in this game who had great tournaments. Anala Bryant, who, as we mentioned, was tournament MVP, most notably had a incredible semifinal performance where she scored 31 points, hitting all 11 of her shot attempts from the field, including 5 3-pointers. The CIAA Player of the Year, showing why she is worthy of that distinction. Rashana Grant for Elizabeth City State, who was absolutely incredible in this championship game, had 14 points and 13 rebounds and 11 offensive rebounds. She was a force on the boards all tournament. She had 2 double-doubles back-to-back in the semifinals and in the championship game. She was just absolutely wrecking shop. And then Nyasia Blanco, she had 12 points and 6 rebounds in this game, hit 3 3-pointers in this game. She hit 8 in the past 2 games, had 5 in the semifinal against Virginia State. So not Virginia State. I'm sorry. She had 8 5-3s against Claflin. That was Fayetteville State, who won against Virginia State, so my mistake. But she some lights out shooting from her, and a tough loss for Elizabeth City State. Fayetteville State will now look forward to playing in a national tournament. They come into it with a 27-2 overall record. They have won their last 13 games. Their last loss coming against Johnson C. Smith in the regular season. They will await the selection Sunday, which will take place possibly after this week. You know, there's still some conferences that have conference tournaments coming up this week, so they'll have a bit of a layoff before selection Sunday for the D2 national tournament. They are ranked 3rd in the Atlantic region as of prior to the start of the CIAA tournament. You know, their head coach during the press conference after the CIAA championship game talked about, you know, how they have had an impressive non-conference schedule, and they have wins against teams like UNC and Pembroke. They have wins against teams like Barden. They teams like wins against teams like Augusta, who was nationally ranked, you know, prior to that game. So and they have wins against teams who are currently regionally ranked. So and he has high hopes that they will potentially court some bids to potentially host a region in the national tournament. So a lot of great prospects of what could potentially happen for them in terms of at-large bids. Elizabeth City State, you know, they end their season with, for a second, they are entering the national tournament. Sorry, with a 20-11 record. Unfortunately their championship hopes were dashed by Fayetteville State. They they have some key wins against Clark Atlanta. They've beaten Albany State. They have wins against Shawan. So hopefully they're a good record potentially will give them a chance to play be selected as an at-large bid. But you never know. In the D2 tournament, there's a lot of great teams. So here's hoping that the work speaks for itself and that they are rewarded for the work that they put in. But heading over to the men's tournament, you had Lincoln preventing Fayetteville State from securing the sweep and winning their first ever tournament championship with a hard-fought 54-51 win over Fayetteville State. Ethan Garita was named the game MVP in that one. He had 15 points and 5 rebounds in this game. Bakir Cleveland right behind him with 13 points. But the star of the game was tournament MVP Peter Sorber, who had 9 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 blocks. No block bigger than his block in the final seconds of the game. So the game situation was they were leading by, I believe, 5 at that point. And Lincoln had the ball but lost it, and it was recovered by a Fayetteville State player. They went up to go get a layup, but Sorber, roaming into the lane, got there in position for the block, and they recovered it. And then they went down and hit a key free throw that extended their lead to 6, and they rode that momentum on to the victory. And their head coach, Jason Armstrong, talked about how that was one of the biggest defensive plays in that game. And it was, because that sealed the victory for him. And that was what Peter Sorber did all tournament. He averaged 4 blocks. He had 4 blocks in every single tournament game he played 3 tournament games. Also averaged 9 rebounds and a little over 9 points and 7 rebounds in the tournament. So it was named to the all-tournament team, and of course was the tournament MVP. Reggie Hudson didn't exactly have the game he wanted, but he was big throughout this tournament. In the first 2 games, had 17 points and 14 points. Also had 9 rebounds and 8 rebounds in those games, and he was named to the all-tournament team as well. For Fayetteville State, they were led by Caleb Simmons, who had 21 points. He was the game's high scorer. Very efficient game. It was 7 of 9 shooting from the field. Hit both of his 3-point attempts, and Terrell Fletcher had 10 points in the game. So Lincoln they have won their first ever tournament championship. This is not their first ever CIAA championship, however, because they previously won it in 1915 prior to, the CIAA having its tournament, which was, I believe, was started in the 60s or 70s. Excuse me for not knowing the exact year that it was started, but they do have technically have a championship to their record in 1915. A bit of discrepancy that they won in 1948. I think it was announced by the PA that when they were rewarded their championship trophy that they previously won in 1948. That is not the case. West Virginia State won it that year, but nonetheless, Lincoln is your tournament champion, and now they will look forward to being in the national tournament. And they come into it with an 18-13 records. They were 10-7 in the regular season in CIAA play. So here's hoping that they get the chance to be a bracket buster in the national tournament. Depending on seeding, they'll probably more than likely either be more than likely it's going to be as an 8 seed. Here's hoping they can get a 7 seed, but don't get your hopes up with that. But it's an exciting time. This is March. The CIAA tournament was incredible, just an amazing experience. If you have not experienced it for yourself, I advise you to. I know a lot of people, don't live where it is attainable for you to be able to travel to it. But I'm telling you, it is an amazing experience that you have to be a part of live. You have to be in that gym and feel the energy from the fans, from the band, and the game itself. It's nothing like it is arguably the best basketball tournament that we have in college basketball, and that is not exaggerating. And I said it, college basketball, and I meant college basketball. It is one of, if not the most exciting tournaments that you will ever witness. But yeah, just that's my recap of the CIAA tournament. Looking forward to seeing the Fayetteville State women and Lincoln's men in the national tournament, and hopefully we could see some at-large bids across the CIAA, especially on the women's side. There were 8 teams who had winning records, including Virginia State, who improved by 10 games this season. They were 12-16 last season. They ended their CIAA tournament run with a 22-5 record, losing to Fayetteville State. So I definitely believe that there is a good opportunity for them to be an at-large bid in the national tournament. But we'll see as the weeks progress and as the opposing conference tournaments across the D2 landscape come to an end and the national selection show comes about. But until then, I've been Jarrett Hoffman with HBCU Sports. If you can, please give us a like, comment, and subscribe. Look out for all updates and all things that's happening in HBCU Sports at hbcusports.com. Follow us on Twitter X at hbcusports.com. Until next time, peace, guys.